We're hoping that this covers a lot of the missing information that you guys were looking for. Ultimately, we're hoping that to get a closed public hearing, get a neg deck, get approval. So that's what we're here for today. And I will hand it over to Alan to discuss the changes that have occurred since the last time we were here. And we also submitted a new plat, I think yesterday or today, addressing some, it was today, addressing some additional comments. So we have that as well.
I will put this on. So. Thank you, really quick one. Thank you. Two boards. So I'll just go over the changes to the plan. Which there are several, but not a lot. I guess principally, the layout of the absorption trenches in each of the lots has changed, and actually they've been submitted to the health department for realty subdivision. So that submission's been made. The well locations on lots 1 and 2, lot 1 being now here behind the dwelling, and lot 3 over here have been modified somewhat to keep it out of the neighboring property to some extent, and some of it is just to ensure that the separation distances between the wells and stormwater features are maintained. For example, stormwater features for that have roof runoff, for example, cannot be the well cannot be has to be a minimum of 50 feet away. So these are well in excess of that. These are probably in the range of 75 to about 90 feet. The rain garden, we did have a rain garden here in the eastern portion of lot number 3, and was able to redesign a rain garden. As you know, doesn't have a large depth or volume, but I was able to sort of reconfigure the stormwater basin. Did not get larger, the extended detention basin, but I was able to incorporate the attenuation and water quality features that were in this basin into the main or the extended stormwater detention basin, which serves primarily the drive. The location of the rain garden that we proposed on lot 1 used to be behind, and it was moved in order to protect a tree that was noted by the town arborist. I think we were on the property then, so that's why it was relocated. The pools have been removed entirely from the plan. And I'll say the landscape plan, I think you saw this previously, but just look at my sheets here, trying to the landscape plan has a proposed mitigation area in the, I'll call it the southern portion of the wetland. There are notes which have been added to. I'll just read them for you. No grading shall be done to install the wetland mitigation plantings. All mitigation plantings shall be installed by hand. No machinery shall be used to install the plant materials, given that they're shrubs and they're plugs, basically. There's no reason to have machinery down there. These were a note that was requested by the New York State DEC, and it's been incorporated into the plan. I'll just make one other mention, one other item that was modified. There's a radius now where the drive meets Somerstown Road, and that was a comment that I received from New York State DOT to incorporate it, and that's been done as well. But it also, I'd just like to point out that it had no impact on the drive. The center line of the drive is the exact same location it is before. But they were just looking at a radius here. They wanted to know the distances from the property line. They want to make sure it's at least 10 feet away. Right? It's just over 10 feet, it's like 10.3 feet. With regard to the plat, I'll just show you. So the pools have been removed from the plat map. This is the one I sent today, so you might not have had a chance to look at it. I'll just make mention The pools have been removed from the plat map. The 10,000-gallon storage tanks are shown, and the location was on the site plan. Was a request as well. The location of the stormwater management practices have been added, just as an outline, just to indicate where they are. The location of the primary and 100% expansion area of the septic system are shown as outlined, which is typical in a plat map. The text of the complete notes of what is signed by the Westchester County Department of Health is now provided on the plan, and the signature block of the engineer and the owner is also provided on the plan as well. I'll just make mention as well that since then, I did submit on July 9 to the New York State DEC 3 full-size and 3 11x17s of the survey with the wetland validation block for the DEC signature. As you know, they were here last month. They looked at the wetland flags that were out there, and they agreed with the delineation. They said, send us the final map. So we did get that from the surveyor with the wetland validation block, and I've submitted it. We have responded to the comments of the DEC regarding the freshwater wetland permit being requested. One of those comments, as you know, was sort of justifying the location of the grading here, and I think I tried to do that for it. But they also had comments like about the no machinery being used to install the plant materials in the wetland mitigation area. Comments were also received, and I'll send those along, from the New York State DOT, from Ann Derelius, and I'm in the process of responding to those comments. She had requested that I provide radius or taper of 13 feet where the common driveway meets the road, and that's already been incorporated into the plan. We talked about the separation of the radius from the property lines at that location as well. She asked for a driveway profile. I hadn't sent her the driveway profile, but I told her that we already had developed a driveway profile. And when I told her that the way it's graded is to grading into the site, and then it goes up to meet the grades on the property. When she heard that the flow wasn't going into from the driveway going to the street, she was pleased to hear that. And she asked for a dimension from the center line to the nearest, the New York State DOT highway markers. They wanted a precise distance. I said it was like 200 feet. It's actually like 198.5 feet or whatever the number is. So that's part of what I'm also going to be submitting. Finally, I'll just say, obviously we have the 10,000-gallon water storage tanks for fire suppression. That's on the plan. I did provide information on the steep slope permit with the calculations that were requested, and there were changes to the tree preservation plan. There were certain trees that are going to be removed for rain gardens. I think I missed a couple that I had failed to note, like for example, in lot number, I guess it was lot number 2, lot number 1. There was a couple of corrections that were made, and that's also been incorporated into the plans. And that's kind of like most of the changes that were done. I don't know if you want to have any questions or other comments regarding that.
So any other board members have any questions at this point? Okay,
Well, I would just ask if Valerie or Dan reviewed that increased stormwater retention system, that it meets, the calculations meet the removal of the other.
Going through the calculations, there's a couple of questions we have about just configurations of the outlet structure. And we want to make sure that that's detailed and clear on the construction plans, so it's built at, so that the calculations and the methodology that's in the SWIP is properly shown on the plans, so that person building it knows exactly what they have.
Right, okay, it doesn't look like it's a problem.
No,
Okay, great.
We'll work together. Oh, by the way, I know there was a comment. I think there was up with that.
No.
It just occurred to me too. I know there was a comment from Craig Stevens regarding landscape, and I think he had a comment, as I thought there was an opportunity to plant some dogwood trees between, he said, between the stone wall and the road. And I thought first he was thinking of along Somerstown Road, and as you know, that's got a fairly narrow shoulder, and trees come really up close to it. I think he's referring to along this edge here. And there are a couple of places where we could add a couple, I said 3 dogwood trees, there are a few trees that are being retained here, but we could certainly meet his comment about adding some diversity of some understory trees in this location. So we did add those 3 trees. I just want to make a point that I saw his comment, and I believe that's what he was commenting on. Go ahead, Donna.
Valerie, do you have any comments?
Yes, I have a few things that we need to kind of deal with to wrap up this. So there was a lot of information that the applicant did provide. We reviewed everything. So I'm just gonna kind of walk through what's still outstanding. So first of all, this board tonight, we do need to, it's an unlisted action under seeker, so we do need to go through like a part 2, which basically sort of indicates whether you find something as, and I'll go through each different environmental topic area, whether it's no or small impact or moderate to large impact. And if there's any other information that you want to see prior to issuing a negative declaration for that. I mean, technically, there's the other option is positive declaration, but I don't think that's where this is gonna go. Then, the other thing is they did provide, they did submit to New York State DOT, Westchester County Department of Health, and New York State DEC dealing with wetlands. So what I started doing was drafting a number of conditions of approval that if for some reason this board is interested in directing me to start on a resolution, I'd like to kind of run through the different conditions that I have, just to make sure everyone is comfortable with that as well. So, and then there is one item that I think both Dan's memo and my memo highlight, which is the 10,000 gallon tank on each property. That's something that we think we need to have. And I think, Sandy, you already sent it to the fire department?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I just make a comment about
John-
that? So we met with John
Yeah.
and Sandy the other day, and John mentioned to us that he did not see any issue for code, and that he was comfortable forwarding that to the fire department for their comments. So I just wanted to add that that was just a conversation.
So what we'd like to do is definitely make sure we get response back from the fire department if they're comfortable with that.
Okay.
Prior to next month. So whenever the board is ready to run through those other items, we can do that and.
Do that.
So why don't we start with seeker? So at the very last page of your packet that we sent has the part 2 that we drafted for this board's review. So I'll go through each question. If anybody has any questions or disagrees with my suggested recommendations, then we can change it for the record, and then we can ask the applicant for us for information. So will the proposed action create a material conflict with the adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? I have no or small impact. Will the proposed action result in any change in the use or intensity of the use of land? I have no or small impact, and the reason why I say it's probably a small impact because you're asking for 3 single-family houses. Will the proposed action impair character or quality of the existing community? I have no or small impacts because of the fact that it's similar to the other land uses surrounding this area. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? This is not in a critical environmental area, so therefore it's no. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in existing level of traffic or affecting existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? I have no or small. There'll be a very small, introduction to a couple of new cars. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonable available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? I have no or small impacts might occur because again, it's 3 single-family homes. Will the proposed action impact existing private or public water supplies or private or public wastewater treatment utilities? I put both no or small impacts because the applicant is providing water and septic system, right? So it's not affecting the existing water supplies. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of an important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resource? No, we've already covered that through the initial seeker review. And then 9 is, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? This one I put a moderate to large impact. I think it's more of like moderate impact because we're dealing with DEC wetlands, we're dealing with steep slopes, we're dealing with tree removal. So, but I think the applicant has been providing like mitigation and some alternatives to help mitigate the overall issues, and they've been incorporated into the plan. So I think we have, if this board sees that, like some of the conditions, I think will wrap up the final mitigation for this issue. Will the proposed action result in an increase in potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? I have no or small impacts because of the fact that they're incorporating stormwater management. And then will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or health of human? And I have notes. So if this board wants to receive any other information between now and the next meeting, this is the time to kind of raise any other environmental things that you would like to see covered. If not, I can prepare a negative declaration next month.
Anybody have any comments or questions concerning the secret? Short environmental assessment form.
Nope.
We have a motion to, is there a negative declaration for us to consider at the next meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Have a second.
Second.
Yes, Simon,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Please prepare, and make deck for our next meeting. Great.
So you can do that. Now, I want to just kind of run through potential conditions of approval as well.
Yeah.
And again, this board will ultimately have to decide if you want to recommend, or have me start working on a draft, prepare a draft resolution of approval. But the conditions that I have, and these are in no particular order, I'll organize them more in the resolution, but that the final review of the tree removal plan, landscaping plan, and wetland mitigation plan will be conducted by, and I have myself to conform compliance with chapter 183 tree protection. One of the things that we still need to do is just make sure that the amount of trees that are coming down versus the amount of trees that are planting, and then what the difference is. So this way, Craig Stevens hasn't done that review, and so somebody needs to do that review during the building permit process. So I have that listed. The
Can I ask
5,
you?
yes,
Sorry, but is that, because I had a question about the tree bank calculation, so that covers that?
that would cover that.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Then the 5-year landscape guarantee will be added as a note on the subdivision plat plan. All stormwater easements will be noted on the plat plan, and I was gonna actually have that as a larger condition, is to refer to Dan's memo dated July 16, 2025. So it incorporates any of the other outstanding stormwater issues. Okay, so I believe the pools have been removed from the plat plan, so we can drop that. Deer protection plan needs to be submitted prior to any landscaping. Landscaping maintenance plan needs to be submitted and reviewed by the village planner prior to any landscaping. The applicant shall provide an annual wetland and planting inspection report required for the first 5 years after planting is complete. The town's planning board attorney shall review the easements and maintenance agreements of the driveway. The town's planning board attorney shall review the easement and maintenance agreement of the stormwater facilities. Tags remain on trees until issuance of the CO. A performance maintenance bond of an amount to cover the expenses of the 5-year inspections and potential replacement should be required. And then final approvals from New York State DEC and New York State DOT need to be finalized prior to the signing of the plat plan, and any required changes that affect the plat plan or the wetland steep slopes, tree removal permits will require further proceedings before the planning board. And then final New York, that should be Westchester County Department of Health approvals need to be completed for issuance of the building. Is there anything else I'm missing at this point? And this includes, input from the planning board, notes and the different.
So the way I see it, we're gonna have 3 agreements that are gonna be recorded against this property. There's gonna be the stormwater management maintenance agreement, the driveway easement, and also the landscaping. We usually have that as a recorded document as well. So those are the 3 agreements that'll be recorded against the property. So at the time that they're sold to any future property owners, they will be on notice of those requirements at the time.
Would you repeat that? Which one is landscaping?
Landscaping, stormwater, and the driveway easement for access.
So, I guess what a motion to, have Valerie draft the, draft, a draft. But,
Do you want to see first if there's anyone from the public who wants to speak?
Margaret, do we have anybody from the public who wants to speak on this?
No, Carolyn, no one from the public.
Okay. Please continue.
Okay, please continue.
I'll make the motion for the draft
Okay,
resolution.
draft, okay, the draft resolution.
Okay.
Okay, second. All right, okay, Bill, how do you vote?
Agreed.
Okay, done. Jim, vote yes. All right,
So we would get those calculations like for the tree bank before we,
I know, I think you're gonna get them, and once we submit the building permits or,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
so we're,
But we are, I think the intention should be tonight, if the board is okay with it, to leave the public hearing open, because there is some more information that was submitted just recently.
Yep.
And the public may want to comment. And maybe supplemented before beyond.
okay, very good. Two draft resolutions, we're published.
Right.
Okay. Okay,
That's fine.
all right.
Not slowing anything down.
So, okay, all right. Right, is that?
Minutes.
The next thing is the minutes, yes. Can I have a
Thank you very
motion?
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Bill. And the second on the motion for the minutes, to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay, Donna, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes. And I vote yes as well. The minutes are accepted. May I have a motion? Sorry. Can we turn the meeting?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. Bill, how do you vote?
All for it.
Donna?
We can stay around if you want.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you, and we'll see you next month. All right. Okay, how did that go?
My partner's like, are you sure they're bad?
Are
you? No, no,
Brad,
no, Brad. Thank you.
No problem.
I'll send an email.
Yeah, good.
just forward me with it, you send Jody.